Welcome back, everyone. It's time to work a little bit of magic. Hello, everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire, hoping you've had a happy holiday season and that you've had an incredible New Year's Eve and that, well, hopefully things have started off right for you, unlike me, who decided to get sick after the rest of the family had gotten sick. But I have gotten to admire this really thoughtful and incredibly nice gift that my younger brother had gotten for me. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, Tyler. I know I already said it, but here I am saying it again in front of everybody, I guess. But anyways, not the topic at hand here. So, what are we talking about today? Today we are picking up where we left off with 1st edition Pathfinder, looking at the Shaman, and now we're going to be going into their spells. We're going to cover what kind of spellcaster they are, the spells that are going to be most generally useful in a pretty broad variety of situations. And we'll talk about a couple of spells that typically aren't going to be all that great for you, or maybe just kind of okay, but are outshone by other better choices in that same spell level. But before we get into all of that, if you're new here to the channel, go on down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamer's Den. Or if you've already gone on ahead and listed yourself on just such an incredible roster of legendary heroes, then go on down to hit the like button and share the video far and wide. But now we should probably actually get into the subject at hand here and start talking about spells. So the Shaman is a divine prepared spellcaster, meaning you know all the spells on your list and have to prepare them ahead of time, whether that's through meditation, prayer, or whatever practices are appropriate per your character's religion. But this grants you a great deal of flexibility in experimenting and adaptability. So if your generalized selection does not meet your needs for a situation at hand, and it's something you can come back to later, you can come back to it better prepared. So that's a handy thing right there, and just adds to the overall generalist adaptable feel that the Shaman just inherently has going for it. You also gain a set of bonus spells depending on the spirits you decide to select, which can add another layer of flexibility and alter the effects that you can bring to bear. And that's incredible right there, although it should be noted that the value of the spells and the bonus spell list that you get is really dependent on the spirit, and not all the spells are created equal, as we just kind of already talked about just a moment ago, so it's something to bear in mind. But this is a good point to note that regardless of what this guide says here, regardless of what I'm saying right now, there's always the all-important caveat of, this is a guide. Take it with a grain of salt. This is just meant to help you understand a class better, or if you're a newcomer, understand how to put a character together in a way that's going to be reasonably effective, playing into the class's strengths and knowing what the weak points are going to be. Also help you decide if this is the kind of character you want to play or not. So take all of that with a grain of salt, and just remember, it's a guide. If you have a selection that fits your character better, fits the story better, then go with that. 9 times out of 10, story is better than just base mechanics. But, even that's my take, and take that with a grain of salt as well. But now let's go ahead and keep rolling on along here and start talking about your 0 level spells, your cantrips, or at least with a divine spellcaster, Osirins. Never knew how to pronounce that word, and I still haven't looked it up yet. But these are spells that you just have, like everything else in your list. But you have Detect Magic. Detect magical auras and effects within 60 feet, gaining more information the longer you concentrate. Up to 3 rounds and you gain the complete totality of information available to you through this spell. Absolutely useful. It's going to remain useful even up into higher levels. Then we have Read Magic, another one that's going to be useful no matter what level you hit. Read magic scrolls and books. Why do you need this spell to read those? Because sometimes they're in ancient languages or in strange, forgotten dialects of dead, forgotten languages. So, this can be helpful in deciphering like 99% of those, being able to make sense of all of this. Even if you can't learn spells from the scrolls and the books, this is still going to be handy to have because that knowledge can be incredibly useful. This can help you identify where to put things, especially if you want to say, I don't know, make a quick bit of coin and sell off something to a buyer who is willing to pick it up, assuming it's not useful to your party in some other immediate way. Then next, we have a spell that starts off good, but then kind of really tapers off. It's Resistance. This grants a +1 resistance bonus on saves for up to 1 minute. That's great. That's really useful, especially at lower levels. That's going to be incredible. The reason why the spell tapers off in its usefulness isn't just because it's only a +1 bonus. That's always going to be handy to some degree, especially for saves, especially. But it's the fact that it's a resistance bonus, the same kind of bonus given by a Cloak of Resistance, which affects your saves. So the bonuses can't stack together because they're the same type of bonus. So by the time you hit 5th level, this is probably going to start dropping off in its value right then and there, which isn't bad. This is still useful, especially if not everybody in your party has a Cloak of Resistance. But if they're purchasable, if those are purchasable, they're buyable in your campaign setting, then this spell will stop being useful fairly fast. Then we have Bleed. Cause a stabilized creature to resume dying. I mean, it's not bad. It's a big middle finger to whatever it is that you want to keep dying. But if you're casting this spell to do an offensive thing, you probably have other spells or other things that you can do that are going to be just as effective. For example, hitting them with a club. So, yeah, you can see where, like, it's not bad, but it's not exactly, it's not something you're going to be making regular use of, unless you're that spiteful. Now, first level spells really see an uptick. You have Doom to start with. Pick a target within 100 feet plus 10 feet per level. They must make a will save or become shaken, taking a -2 on attack, damage rolls, saves, and checks. Lasts 1 minute a level, and that's skill checks, ability checks, things like that. And that's a pretty significant amount of time for this to last, too. 1 minute per level? I mean, 1 minute is several rounds already. By the time you're level 2, you're doubling that. So that's a great spell, and it will be great for several levels onwards. Then we have Cheetah's Sprint. Cast with the swift action on yourself to move 10 times your base movement speed for 1 round. This is an enhancement bonus that increases speed, so it affects jumping distance as well. Now, because it's an enhancement bonus, that can't stack with any other enhancement bonuses, and as far as I know, enhancement bonuses are the only kind of bonus that you get to your speed. But this is great for its tactical utility, especially at first level. Holy crap. Moving 300 feet on your turn? That's amazing. And being able to just easily clear gaps by jumping? That's also amazing. This is an incredibly useful spell. It is unfortunate that you can only throw it on yourself, but man, anything that doesn't succeed on its grapple check to keep you tied up somehow is not going to be able to keep you down. That's awesome. Then we have Hex Vulnerability, which is another one that's going to be good for a long time, save for the fact that it's going to have a low saving throw difficulty, because it's 10 plus the spell level plus your spellcasting stat bonus, so Wisdom. So, you're looking at a DC 15, good early levels, but by the time you hit higher levels, its effectiveness might drop off, but this is still just pretty worth it to at least try. You select a target within 25 feet plus 5 feet for every 2 levels. They must make a will save or be vulnerable to a hex you've used on them, even if the hex normally wouldn't allow it. Say it's only usable once on a target every 24 hours. Well, this lets you take another shot at it. And you can keep casting it on them, but it gets harder and harder to make this succeed the more you cast this. So bear that in mind. But getting 2 uses out of a really powerful hex in 1 day on the same target, great. Then we have Obscuring Mist. A 20-foot high cloud of mist spreads from you in a 20-foot radius. All sight beyond 5 feet is obscured, including dark vision, granting concealment a 20% mischance. Anything beyond has total concealment, a 50% mischance. Again, this is another spell that's going to be very effective even at higher levels. Sure, it's not the biggest area, but you know what? Obscuring dark vision, granting concealment? That's really huge. That's a great defensive spell to have to throw out there. Now we have some of our other spells, or interesting spells, like Cure Light Wounds. Touch target creature to heal 1d8 plus 1 hit points per level, max of a plus 5. That's not super great, that tapers off, so why do I have this rated as a really good quality here at the end? Because you don't want this in your spell slots. You want to pick up a Wand of Cure Light Wounds. Best bang for your buck in terms of healing and restoring your allies, without having to burn up any of your precious spell slots and dedicating it to Cure Light Wounds. That said, if you really do need that extra, you wouldn't do too bad having this on hand, though high levels you're going to replace that with heal pretty reliably. But then we have the sleep spell. This spell affects a 10-foot burst radius and up to 4 hit dice worth of creatures within that radius. And then you pick up the target area at a range of 100 feet plus 10 feet per level. On a failed will save, the targets fall asleep for 1 minute a level. So yeah, this is kind of useful. It's nice to drop low-level single-hit dice creatures, as potentially dropping 4 creatures out of a fight at first level, that sounds like a pretty good deal. The thing is, this quickly drops off so fast because it has to affect the lowest hit dice creature first, which, great, that means you're guaranteed, at first level you're guaranteed to get at least 1 to go, but by the time you hit 2 hit dice, 3 hit dice creatures, sure, taking one of them out of the fight's going to be nice, but at the same time, you probably are going to have better, more effective options available to you. And especially by the time you hit level 6 or so, you're going to have much better spells available to you that are going to have better effects, meaning that you can free up these spell slots for some other better spells, or swapping things around for situational things that you just want to be prepared for. Something to keep in mind there. But that's where we're going to stop off for today. We're going to kind of cover at about this pace, 2 spell levels each level. So 0 level spells mean this is just a little bit shorter, but next time we're going to have a fairly interesting list. Already have the slides about 75% done, then it's a matter of recording and editing and hitting the ground running. I may still have other videos interspersed just because sometimes it's nice to switch things up and just start talking about other things, gaming related and the like, so, well, I'm sure you understand. Remember though, if you're new here to the channel, go on down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamers Den. Or if you've already gone on ahead and listed yourself on that incredible roster of legendary heroes, then go on down to hit the like button and share the video far and wide. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you all so very much for your time. Have yourselves a good night. Hope this following year is a good one for as many people as possible. Have a good night, folks.